It's Mary Beth Eversole, the allergy actress, and it is the next installment of our Thanksgiving extravaganza, the dessert. And no Thanksgiving can be complete without pumpkin pie. Seriously, you guys. And for a while, when I was diagnosed with allergies, I couldn't have pumpkin pie because it has evaporated milk in it, and the crust is made from wheat flour, and there's all this and eggs and all of that, and I was just like, ah. So I figured out how to make a pumpkin pie that I can have that tastes amazing. In fact, my family says it's the best pumpkin pie they've ever had, and they love pumpkin pie. So yes, let's get to the ingredients. This is by far my favorite pie of all time. So let's get to the ingredients. Okay, we're going to start with the crust, and then we'll go to the filling. So for the crust, you're going to want 3/4 cup of any all-purpose gluten-free flour. I am using one that is made from garbanzo bean flour, but you can make your own. You can make it from rice flour. You can make it from all sorts of flours, really. And then there's 3/4 cup of almond meal flour. That is basically ground up almonds. And then we have our coconut oil, 1/2 cup of coconut oil, melted because you can put it in the crust. And then, and by the way, if it's solidified, just microwave it for just a little bit, or you can put it over the stove top and it'll melt it. And then we've got 2 tablespoons of cashew milk, or really any milk of your choice. I like cashew milk. Rice milk works really well with this too. Then you're gonna have 2 teaspoons of just regular white cane sugar. I think coconut sugar would work well with this as well, so you could use that. And then you have 1 teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt, my favorite, and that is the crust. Now let's get to the filling. The filling, of course, is going to have pumpkin. Now let me talk to you about pumpkin. Usually with my pumpkin pies, I cook the pumpkin down. So you get, let me grab this little pumpkin over here. So you get this little pie pumpkin, and they actually call them pie pumpkins, and they're teeny tiny like this. And what you do is you just cut the top off, and then I usually quarter it, and then I steam it in a big pot that has it's like the lasagna noodle pot that has the little strainer thing in it. Steam that for like 15, 20, 30 minutes, depends on your altitude. And it cooks down like any squash, and so then you scrape it out, and then you put it in a bowl, you mash it up with an immersion blender, and then you can freeze it, and you can actually, I do several of these at once, and I freeze it, and then I have pumpkin for the whole season, which is really cool. So for this, and by the way, 1 pie pumpkin usually makes about 1 pie. And for 1 pie, you want 1.5 cups of pumpkin, which is equivalent to 12 ounces. Or you can also just get the canned pumpkin, which is 12 ounces. Then you're going to have, this is the replacement, one of the replacements for the dairy. Usually pumpkin pie takes evaporated milk. Clearly I can't have that, so I make my own evaporated milk. What you want to do for that is you get 3 cups of the milk of your choice. So I used cashew milk. Rice milk works really well for this too. And you put it in a pot, saucepan, and you just reduce it down by 60%. So it comes down to 1 cup. And then for every cup of the milk that you have that's reduced, you add a 1.25 cup of the white cane sugar. And again, I think that coconut sugar would work just fine. I haven't tried it, but I think it would work just fine. Then you stir it till the sugar dissolves, and voila, you have evaporated milk. That makes about 1.5 cups of your evaporated milk, and then you can use it for your pie. So I have 9 ounces of evaporated milk right here. And then you have to have eggs, 2 eggs. I haven't figured out how to not do eggs with the pumpkin pie yet. If anyone figures that out, please comment. And then we have our lovely vanilla, which you can't really see because it's clear vanilla, it's pure vanilla. Just 1/4 teaspoon there. For all of the yummy little spices that go in this, we have, again, white cane sugar, 1/2 cup. You can use coconut sugar, that works. Then we have my favorite spice, cinnamon. Usually people do like 1/2 teaspoon or 3/4 teaspoon, but I like cinnamon, so I put a teaspoon in. And then 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. Oh, by the way, it's ground cinnamon, okay? Ground cloves, oh, that just smells like Christmas. Okay, and then Ah, that one smells like Christmas too. You have, I love this one. This is allspice. And sometimes people use it and sometimes don't. But I love using allspice in pumpkin pie. So that's another half a teaspoon. Then you have a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, which smells like ginger. And then you have a 1/4 teaspoon of the salt. And I think I got through all of them. Let's go make some pie. Okay, so first step is the crust. It's really easy, you guys. So you're going to put in your dry stuff. So put in the gluten-free flour. Put in the almond meal flour. Remember, that's just basically ground up almonds. And then I usually mix that a little bit first. And then you put in your, it's a little humid here, you guys. It's kind of chunking up there. Okay, and then put the sugar. Remember, that is 2 teaspoons of sugar. Every good pie crust needs a little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt. So this is a teaspoon of salt. I use that Himalayan pink salt I love so much. You want to make sure it's really well mixed together before you add your wet ingredients, which I want you to make a little well in the center of your thing. So you see that's like a little circle in the center. And then you're going to pour in your liquids into that well. So there goes your coconut oil. And then the cashew milk goes in as well. And then you take your fork and you mix it together. It's going to be a very wet dough. And that is exactly what it's supposed to be like. So you mix until it's all mixed together. Mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it. Mix it, mix it. Okay. I'm having too much fun today, you guys. Okay. No, you can't ever have too much fun. So you want to mix until you can't see any of the like flour sticking out anymore, okay? So like the whiteness turns into a kind of a tanness or blondness, I guess. And this is what it looks like. Then you switch it into the pie pan. And you're going to put it all. And then you got to make sure your hands are clean, which mine are. And you're going to pat it into the pie crust dough or pie crust pan. I'm actually going to use a spoon first because I think that helps kind of squish it down a little bit before you have to actually it just speeds up the process. So while I'm doing this, I just have to say I think this crust is probably the best crust that I have ever had with any pie. So, and that's saying a lot because I am a crust snob and I do love crust, but I'm very that crust is not good. So this crust is very good. Okay, so enough with the spoon. Now we're going to use our hands. And this crust this makes enough for it to kind of just go up the sides, but not really like lip over. So you can't do any like fancy stuff, but this is kind of just what I do. I kind of bring it around like this. Make sure you get it even in the center so that you don't have gaps in the base, or else you'll have pumpkin pie filling instead of crust on the bottom. So turn it this way. And so then I'm still squishing. I go like this around because as you can see, it tends to like puff up in places and not puff up in others. And so you want to just make sure that you're going around. So I'm going to finish doing this, and then we're going to go make the filling. Okay, so first thing we need to do for the filling is put the dry ingredients in a bowl. So you put that sugar in a bowl, and you're going to put the salt in a bowl, and you're going to put the cloves in the bowl. Getting the theme here? And then you're going to put the cinnamon, yay, and the allspice, which I love. It smells so good, you guys. I want an allspice candle. That would be awesome. I have a clove candle. Then you get your ginger. Okay, and then I usually just whisk it all together, and it's going to look kind of dark brownish a little bit, and just whisk it until it's fairly mixed together. Whisk. Okay, sorry. Getting a little crazy there. It kind of smells like cinnamon sugar when you're done. just a little more spicy. So I'm going to set that here. And now we're going to get our wet ingredients. So first thing you want to do is put the eggs in, because you want to make sure that those are whisked fairly well before we put the other stuff in. So we, ooh, whisk, 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 whisk. Okay, that's good. And then we're going to put the pumpkin in and get that in there. Get in there! Okay. I talk to my food, y'all, and I'm not crazy. I'm just happy. Okay, so then we get there, and actually at this point I usually use a spatula because it gets a little thick. So spatula. We're going to, and you can also use a hand blender to mix everything together. Sometimes that helps. And then you want to make sure you get your evaporated milk in there. And where is my, oh, the see-through vanilla? That looks like it's not there. And then you have to stir it up until you get it evenly. You know what? I'm going to go back to the whisk. And I just got it all on my hand. Look, monster hands. Monster hands for Thanksgiving. Okay. So let's go back to the whisk for a second because it got a little thick. And I don't want it to be not mixed well before we put in our dry ingredients. So make sure it's mixed nice and good. So that's what it'll look like. Kind of looks like carrot soup. And then you put in your dry stuff. Mix that up really well. And this is, oh, you guys, this is so good. It smells so good. Okay, and so that's mixed. And then the next thing we do is we take our pie crust that we made earlier, and we put it here, and we pour the filling into the pie crust, not the other way around. Now you might have some left over. And that's okay. Usually there is leftover. So I usually make either a second pie, or you can just put this in a souffle dish and make pumpkin pie without the crust. So I think that's pretty cool. Here is your pie. That's what it looks like. And then what we're going to do next is put it in the oven. Now I always suggest that you cover the crust so that it doesn't burn. So you can either get a pie crust cover. They actually sell those. And you'll see it in the next shot, or you can get foil and wrap it around the edges of your crust. That takes us a little bit more time consuming, but it does work. And then you want to put it in the oven first at 425 degrees for 15 minutes, and then you want to bring the temperature down to 350 degrees, and you cook it for another 45 to 60 minutes. Usually it takes 60 with my oven, but sometimes it's a little faster. And when a knife comes out fairly clean, you are ready for pumpkin pie. Just look at this, you guys. It's so beautiful, and I cannot wait to taste it. Slow pan up so I can take it all in. Yes, pie. Okay, here we go. Got to get this. Oh, and by the way, this is some coconut whipped cream. There's a recipe for that in one of my other videos. Check it out. Here we go. Of course it's good. I mean, okay. So there's not much else I can say about that except that this is the bomb pumpkin pie. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. This is Mary Beth Eversole, the allergy actress, signing off for now.